Please listen until the end because I have some of my personal experiences in here, especially for those who pray to our Lord Jesus Christ. The gift of the sixth sense, intuition, and insight, a mighty force. An unknown mighty force, the sixth sense or intuition, is not the prerogative of intuitive people. All of us are gifted with this unknown mighty power. Intuition is a reliable source of wisdom and insight that can guide our lives. So we invite you on a magical journey to the world of the sixth sense that will help you develop this amazing power and change your life. Recently, when my son was, he had a little small case of COVID. Anyway, it lasted a few days. But at one point, he told me that he heard my voice. He was awake and he heard my voice. And I asked him, I said, "What did you hear me say to you?" He says, "You asked me, what am I doing?" And you seemed inquisitive and sort of wondering what I'm wasting my time on. I said, "What were you doing at that time?" He said, "I was watching the schedule of basketball games." I said, "Okay, you've got COVID and you're watching schedules of basketball games?" I said, "Yeah, that sounds like me." I would say, "Why are you not praying?" But anyway, let's go back to this. We have the gift of insight. All of us, to a lesser or greater extent, have the ability to see, to predict events and situations, and with proper practice, any of us can become a psychic. What is the sixth sense? Intuition is learning a piece of information without knowing the source from which that piece of information comes. In other words, intuition is the perception beyond our natural senses, which aims to help us in the difficult paths of life. Intuition is a reliable inner source of insight and wisdom that can itself guide our lives. Fortunately, each of us has a source and can use it practically at any moment to make his life easier and to achieve his goals. The root of the English and French words for intuition comes from the Latin verb tuere, meaning to guard and to protect, and this is the function of intuition, since it protects us from making harmful decisions and guards us not only from external forces that could harm us, but also from our internal dialogues that precede some important decisions. Now, let me remind you, a couple of days back, I posted a video on Native Americans and why they left their hair long. Let's remember that in a lot of cultures, not recently, but like the past century and before, a lot of men kept their hair long, like in Asia, for example, or the Hindus of India, or even the ancient Greeks. And even today, the Orthodox Jews have their side curls. But anyway, they found that they had the Native Americans with long hair in the Second World War as scouts for the American Army, the American forces. And they claimed that they were able to feel the enemy close to them because they had this gift of intuition. But when they had the Native American scouts cut their hair, they lost that gift of intuition, of being able to feel the enemy close to them. So the hair has something to do with it. And let's remember all the monastics in the Christian Orthodox faith have long hair. They do have long hair. And I guess that's why a lot of them do have intuition. Of course, they fast and pray, and God does give them gifts. Now, going back to this, intuition is a source that provides an additional amount of information that does not come from the analytical, logical side of the brain. As it's developed and understood, it can be a reliable and valuable tool in the hands of people. Accurate intuition allows us to gain vital awareness of ourselves and our environment. How we perceive intuition. We all experience intuitive images every day, symbols, numbers, colors, sounds in a different way, which make us stand out from the stimuli we receive in our daily life. These images could for some be a dream, for others an incident that they think they have seen somewhere or seems familiar like déjà vu. For others, it's a message which is saying anything but random, and for still others, a negligible image. The question that arises is which of these images should we take into account, which ones are important, and how can we interpret them? Each of us must compile our own intuitive vocabulary in order to succeed in decoding the stimuli. There are techniques that we should definitely not leave unexploited, and through them we can practice the mind and spirit, thus acquiring our own dialect and communication with our inner self. And we give you the elements that someone who would like to interpret this message could look at in an effort to enable you to become your own psychic. Of course, I'm just reading this article for you, but if you do have graces, be careful, because are they from God, Christ, or are they from the evil one? You have to be careful. And if you do have some type of spiritual experience like this, heading this way, you should talk to your father confessor. Now, going back to this, our goal is to gain a perfectly acute awareness of what we feel so that we can come to the position of consciously allowing it to fade. And once these everyday noises subside, we can now use our senses to focus on intuitive information. Now, there are ways that we can come very close to Christ. Of course, it's through prayer. And as Saint Anthony, as the Bishop Anthony Souros of London writes in his book, How to Pray, you don't be surprised if you have spiritual experiences during the times of prayer. These are the times when many saints have had experiences even with their angels. For example, the Archangel Gabriel appeared to the Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, at her time of prayer. The Archangel Gabriel also appeared to the father of St. John the Baptist, priest Zechariah, in the Holy of Holies, when he was there praying, lighting the incense, and many other saints, of course, at the time of prayer. Now, it says here, our goal is to gain perfectly acute awareness of what we feel so that we can come to the position of consciously allowing it to fade. Once these everyday noises subside, we can now use our senses to focus on intuitive information. All of this requires nothing more than letting ourselves free to tune into the vibration of soul, love, joy, and creation. To start with, relax and concentrate. Sit back and relax, take a deep breath and exhale slowly, allowing the conscious mind to relax. As you inhale deeply, feel the physical sensation of being inside your body, your bones, internal organs, skin, muscles, and your heartbeat. Notice your body relaxing and your mind quieting. It's not necessary to forbid your mind from projecting images that do not correspond to what you're doing, and see them also part of your prediction, allowing them to pass through you and leave. Continue this process of aligning the mind with the soul for a few minutes, and once you feel relaxed, you are ready for your prediction. Tip: before you start this process, it's good to repeat to yourself that every time thoughts of disharmony with what you are doing come to you, relax even more. No pressure is needed to maintain these images. All this with calmness and love within you must harmonize. Consider a goalkeeper who has very little chance of saving the ball, but waiting for it. Movement in his teammates compared to a tennis player who every time repels the ball without thinking, but completely freely and without pressure to understand where the ball is going in order to move accordingly. Become aware of your intuitive state. How do you feel? Do you feel any change in how you perceive your body? Do you feel lighter, heavier, hotter, colder? Is your thinking pace slower or faster? Does the perception of sounds change around you? Does your breathing change? Do you feel any emotional difference from when you are in the normal state? Do you feel your focus is different, and how do the objects around you look? Is the vision sharpened or dimmed? This awareness will be more important when you do the reverse process. That is, when you will translate this conscious state of wakefulness using your intuition for a specific purpose. I want to tell you what happened to me during time of prayer when I was putting into practice what the Bishop Anthony Souros told us in his little book, How to Pray. I had it at one point. I can't find it anymore because I moved houses and I lost a few books. But anyway, hopefully, God willing, I'll find it again. But it says in there, As we said, when you want to pray in your room, as our Lord Jesus Christ tells us, when you're alone, I will be with you, and if you can, a time during the day when you're alone and quiet, and close the door to your room, kneel by your bedside, put a cross under you and on your bed, and then as you kneel, looking at the cross, start praying. The first thing you do is forgive your enemies. If you can't do that, forget paradise. You have to forgive your enemies and pray for them, for their conversion. Now, during one of these prayers, when I was praying for my family, for the world, for everything, world peace, of course. Okay, my bedroom was big, but it wasn't that huge. I saw the wall in front of me disappear, and with my eyes opened, I saw Christ, what I believe was Christ, listening to me, sitting there listening to me, and behind him was the evil one, a black person sitting in the darkness. And I was looking at Christ, and Christ knew I was looking at him. And then my gaze went to that entity behind him. And what did Christ say to me in my mind? He pointed to his heart and he said, "Here, here. I'm listening to you. Forget him. I'm listening to you. Here." In other words, my prayers were going to him in his heart. So, yes, this is a tremendous gift. I will never forget that, and I wanted to share it with you. He has not left us abandoned and orphans. He is with us, listening to every single prayer. He's listening to every single thought, whether we like it or not. Every single thought, even if we don't believe in him, is written in our book of life. Yes, you will have a beautiful awakening, a beautiful experience, a personal experience of love when you put this into effect. Just simple prayers. Start with Our Father who art in heaven. And, of course, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. If we don't if we forgive our enemies, they will not forgive us. I just wanted to share that with you, because he is for everyone in the world. Now, going back to this, translation and interpretation. How accurate is your intuitive images depends directly on which intuitive way your inner self approaches. Insight, often accurate and not in need of interpretation. Intuition, usually highly symbolic and projects symbols that relate to our personal intuitive vocabulary to be decoded accordingly. Listening, hence clear hearing, that is usually accurate to the message that we automatically perceive a complete sentence word. Feeling, it refers to an experience parallel to another person, independent of time and distance, which presents itself as to us as a feeling at the moment it develops. Be careful not to get into the process of choosing one of these ways, but see where your intuition tends to provide you with more information. After all, it's very possible that the intuition chooses every time a combination of three ways at the same time for the projection of elements or one of them. Now, of course, when you have these experiences, okay, you should talk to them. You should talk to your father confessor about them, and he will guide you, okay? Now, going back to this, in the initial stages of your practice, there will be an awareness of the interpretation process, and the more you practice on it, the more you will automate this process, such as, for example, it also happens in learning a foreign language. Chronological placement. All the images we envision exist and evolve over a period of time, either during sleep, during meditation, or during full consciousness. Meditation meaning prayer, of course. How are we able to perceive in which specific period of time they evolve? An effective way to chronologically place the signs without being absolute and unique, because surely each of us will develop his own method by practicing visualization for chronological placement is as follows. When intuitive information relates to the past, there is more emotion and substance to what we envision. This emotion is similar to when we have a dream and experience it as if it were real. For example, a flight or a chase, which in this case is nothing more than a memory recall from the past, which we also experience consciously through the dream. Now, if you want to know if a spiritual dream is from God or not, just open the Holy Bible by random and God will give you the interpretation of your dream. I remember I had a dream, a very strange dream of, let's put it this way, the end of the world, okay? And the people that were left behind didn't know that they were captured by demonic forces. They couldn't see them. Whereas we were guided by angelic entities towards the heavens. And I was one of them. And as I looked at my children, as I looked back, I saw a family member trapped by these demonic forces, but he didn't know he was trapped. And I was calling his name, and the angel said, "It's too late now. It's over." And we were heading into a warm, beautiful, fragranced, pinkish gray cloud. And there were people going this way and that and entering their little rooms, their areas that belonged to them. And some were, and I found mine, that some were going ahead of me. And I opened up the Holy Bible, and it was the exact interpretation of my dream concerning the end times. And as my father confessor says, the end times, the second coming for each person is at the time of his passing, when the partial judgment is given to each soul, but the final judgment at the second coming, second coming of Christ, is the final judgment when souls are taken to be with Christ eternally in the kingdom of heaven. And this pink cloud that I saw with the souls going into their specific areas, he said that they would be, the passage said that they would be entering his heart, Christ's heart. Others more deeply, others in other areas, and those who loved him even more and more deeply. So that was the interpretation he gave to my dream. I'll never forget that. So please allow yourself to open up the Holy Bible every day. It's an immediate miracle because that's a proof that God is with you and in your thoughts. Nobody else can be in your thoughts except him and you. It's a personal one-to-one relationship. Now, going back to this, when intuitive information relates to the past, there is more emotion and substance to what we envision. This emotion is similar to what we have a dream and experience it as if it were real, and which in this case, it is nothing more than a memory call from the past, which we also experience consciously through the dream. When the information is related to the present, we accept it as if it were a detached part of us that helps us have a complete and more objective picture of what we receive as a stimulus. If they are related to the future, this information is somewhat lighter, as if someone is watching it behind a transparent cloth. They are not as strong as the ones above, but they leave you with the feeling that this is how this situation will develop. There is less sensation in the body, more symbols and mixed feelings. Your intuitive vocabulary. Each of us must adopt our own intuitive vocabulary because words and images in each personality are differently charged. For example, the word end for someone may mean death because a relative has recently come to the end of life, and for someone else it may mean the end of a movie or a crisis. I think you're intelligent with possible emotional reactions. I am jealous and I feel disappointed, and I feel proud to be your friend, and I feel uncomfortable. So we see that the same word for each of us individually means something different. Consider making a prediction using some other person's intuitive vocabulary. The prediction will surely be wrong. Can you ask yourself, how do you feel when someone rejects you? How do you feel when you're happy? Which picture gives you pleasant feelings and which unpleasant ones? Which sound is familiar to your ears and which is repugnant? Thus, slowly forming your own personal vocabulary, you'll notice over time the familiarity and orientation of yourself in the explanation of its intuitive messages, no longer requiring awareness or of your interpretive process. For your first prediction, now that everything we mentioned above has been understood, we must now strengthen our confidence in the results of the prediction. Don't forget that all the images that you will experience during wakefulness are messages to you. That comes to our conscious level to be decoded according to our vocabulary. Don't hesitate to speak your mind when you sense something that you cannot figure out where it's coming from or what it is, but never insist that you're right. The road to clarity is long and requires practice and will. 4 ways to access the source of intuition. Well, one way is, of course, praying. I once saw an abbot in a monastery about an hour's drive north of Athens, and during the Holy Liturgy, he was performing the Holy Liturgy with another priest that was invited to perform with him, and the abbot turned white from head to toe with an uncreated light, whereas everybody else in the church looked normal. And when I got back and opened the Holy Bible to ask Jesus Christ to explain that to me, the passage that fell was, you think that that is really something very, very advanced? That's nothing compared to what I have to give you from my treasure chests of gifts of divine graces. Ask for my gifts from my treasure chest, was the passage that opened up. Ask for my gifts from my treasure chest, and I will give them to you. That's a commandment. Isn't that something? Now, back to this, ways to access the source. 4 ways to gain easier access is to this inner source, your inner voice. People often talk about their inner voice, but it's different from inner chatter. The voice of intuition is calm and is always approached through deep feeling of love. Try asking the question, what is the best course of action for me to take? After a short while, all possible options will appear, and see which one jumps out most easily as the answer. If you don't get a response, relax more and ask the question again. 2 is dreams. You can get a range of guiding information when you learn how to develop intuitive insight through your dreams. The mind is in an active state even when we sleep. Since we often repeat our daily worries even in sleep, we can get answers and solutions to the problems that concern us through our dreams. And many times these answers are revealed in the form of symbols, but very often they give a reasonable and understandable answer. Here are some ways you can tune in and get some answers through your dreams about the problems that concern you. Write your problems or question on a piece of paper. Try to summarize the issue in one question and ask yourself just before going to sleep. And before you open your eyes in the morning, ask yourself, did I get an answer to my question? Sometimes you may remember a particular dream and feel that you have an answer to the dream's symbolism. Other times you can't remember the dream, but you can consider yourself having woken up with intuitive answers. Well, one way you can get an answer, immediate answer to your questions or what you want an answer for, is to open up the Holy Bible at random. And where your eye falls, where your finger opens up the page, that's where your guardian angel wants you to read God's answer to you. Okay? You don't have to wonder and think and perhaps make mistakes. Just open up the Holy Bible. Now, physical senses. In Japan, they call intuition stomach art. We often call such sensations gut feelings. You can find that a decision is wrong if shortly after your body is heavy. And on the contrary, you feel light in your body if the decision is right, the right one leads you to the right path of life. Again, you open up the Holy Bible, you will not be dismayed. God will guide your path. I remember once we were going for a trip to Istanbul, Turkey, for a rededication of an ancient Byzantine church, which was being used as a stable for animals, and one of the ladies, Christian Orthodox ladies, decided to adopt the church to rededicate it. She had to clean it out and refurbish it, reconstruct it, renovate it, and we saw pictures before and after that. But when we went there, there was turmoil in Istanbul with various political activities going on, which was not good. And my husband asked me, should we go? We were supposed to go for the rededication of the church, which was named St. Nicholas. It was the beginning of St. Nicholas. It was to be dedicated during St. Nicholas feasts in the beginning of December. And I opened up the Holy Bible to get an answer. Should we go or not? Because we were leaving the children behind, and we would be going as a couple to Istanbul for the rededication. And I opened up the Holy Bible, and it said, even though you are exiled from this country, meaning the Greeks were exiled by the Turks, of course, I will protect you. No matter what happens, I will protect you in that country. So I told my husband, and we went. And nothing happened, of course. Even though our aircraft had a bomb scare before we left Athens, Greece, we waited 4 hours. They put the aircraft in an area of the airport that was really far away, just in case there was a bomb on it. It turned out to be a false alarm, and we went and nothing happened. Everything was perfect. But I want to tell you that be close to Christ and use these things that I've just now referred to concerning the way to pray and the way to get your answers from our Lord Jesus Christ, opening up the Holy Bible, and ask for the graces from his treasure chest. He will give them to you. And as the Apostle St. Paul tells us in the New Testament, why will he give you graces? He will give you graces because people will see you when they know you and talk of you and saying, this person has graces that only God can give. And that way you will bring people to the faith of Christ. That's why God gives us these graces, to bring people, to entice them and bring them to Christ, knowing. I remember once I had gone to, again, this monastery an hour's drive, Moni Samata, the monastery of Samata, an hour's drive north of Athens. And one of the monks there, who is now the new abbot there, told me my whole life. And he had just met me. He had just met me. And he told me my whole life, my children, my mother-in-law who was living with us. He says, why do you have to take your mother-in-law to all your vacations with you? I mean, can't you take a vacation with your family and your husband alone? I said, well, it's not easy because she's alone, she's a widow, and she's with us all the time. He said, yeah, but that's not, it's ixnay. So, but he knew everything. So obviously, when you meet people like this, you say, wait a minute, what's going on here? So these are the gifts that our Lord Jesus Christ has ready to give us. We just have to ask, as Christ told us, ask and it will be given to you, knock and it will open, seek and you shall find. So just for us to remember that we are not animals. We are made in the image of our Lord God, our triune God, and this is our purpose in life. The purpose in life for every single person. Okay? No matter how sinful you are, he'll make a living saint out of you. Anyway, I just wanted to touch that upon you because our Lord is alive. Our Lord Jesus Christ is alive. And he's with us at every moment in time. And learn how to open up the Holy Bible, please. You may start to feel like Mother Teresa when she once said, I know God will never give me anything I can't handle. I just wish they didn't trust me so much. So you know that the universe has a perfect plan for your growth and development as a human being as you learn to trust the guidance and your intuition. Now, you might also not get the information right away. you have to record what you receive. Just as the Metropolitan Callinicos of Piraeus wrote in his book, record what opens up to you in the Holy Bible, because that way you'll know where you're heading, you'll know what God has given you as an answer, and it may take, 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, but whatever. Just two is just a random number I picked. But don't be surprised when all this comes to pass, that opening up the Holy Bible also gives us prophecy, okay? We just have to learn how to have patience and to wait with hope. So please, put this into practice, of course, praying and being with God, opening up the Holy Bible to get your answer from Him, and you'll notice that He's always in your heart and mind. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. So start on your path to unite with Christ in divine union. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes a day. Start, and you will not be dismayed. May God make living saints out of all of you. Thank you. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.